Since the time of Warcraft 3, the lands across the Great Sea, far from humankind, have held a sort of intrigue and mystery. Compared to the Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor is less civilized and more wild, but nonetheless holds countless details and secrets that can be explored in classic WoW. Today, we're going to visit 7 locations on this continent that are truly wonders of the world. These landmarks are meant to represent the variety of cultures found on this continent, and if you have suggestions for future episodes, leave them down in the comments. In the next episode of this series, I'll be focusing exclusively on natural wonders, so keep that in mind. As always, thank you for your fun comments and support, and with all that being said, let's get right into it. The rainy northern coasts of Kalimdor are a region of much intrigue. In Darkshore, an ancient piece of history can be found at the Master's Glaive, a small clearing in the woods that harbors a great treasure. Here, a gigantic glaive lies impaled in the skull of a monstrous creature, still radiating energy millennia after the battle was fought. Onu, the nearby ancient of lore, recalls that an old Lord of the Earth fell here, and while this could originally hint the creature here is an old god, it was later clarified that this is the skull of Sagoth the Slitherer, a towering herald who, originally, would have looked more similar to the Forgotten Ones in An-Kahet and elsewhere in Northrend, spreading the influence of even darker powers. The Night Elves originally viewed this area as a sacred site, but it has since been overrun by the Twilight's Hammer cultists, who are trying to unlock the secrets of the fallen herald. Amid the harsh deserts of Tanaris, a magical refuge away from the heat can be found in the Caverns of Time, a network of tunnels overseen by the Bronze Dragonflight. These dragons are responsible for managing the flow of time within Warcraft, but recently they've enlisted the help of adventurers to visit different points in time and prevent the tampering with key events by the Infinite Dragonflight, Corruptors of Time. Entering the caverns reveals a surreal mashup of game pieces from Azeroth and beyond, with elven ruins, human castles, and much more decorating the passageways. During the time of Wrath of the Lich King, there are 4 events that can be visited: Thrall's escape from Durnhold, the opening of the Dark Portal, the battle for Mount Hyjal, and the culling of Stratholme. In a way, this wonder is a gateway to many others, a bizarre but beautiful conduit where you can encounter many facets of time. Just don't eat the time sand. On the western shores of Kalimdor, players can come across a tranquil spot of green in the otherwise grey land of Desolace. Once a part of the ancient Kaldori Empire, this region is littered with elven ruins, including near the coastline. Ethel Rathor is a part of one such ruin, somehow intact 10,000 years after the Great Sundering ripped apart the world. The waters of the nearby Sartharis Strand have submerged an unnamed Night Elf city, and now the tower is one of the only pieces accessible on land. Vile Naga now call the ruins home, and a wizard of the Argent Dawn has taken up residence here, working to stop the Naga from retrieving powerful artifacts. While there isn't a lot else known about this isolated tower, I think it serves a much more symbolic purpose in the world of classic WoW. The Highborn Elves, gone for millennia, managed to create a great many structures that have weathered countless storms. Who once called this tower home? And did they always have such an impressive view of the sea? We may never know, but this one example represents both the fall and hollow persistence of an ancient empire. I remember reaching this spot on my swimming adventures almost a year ago now, and it is, I think, a really distinct coastal landmark. The Furbolg are one of the most important races in northern Kalimdor. Small bear-like beings, the Furbolg have long dwelled in the forests of the world, friends of the treefolk and night elves alike. But after the Burning Legion's corruption during the Third War and beyond, many of the tribes have turned feral, no longer recognizing their allies of old. The Timbermaw, one of the last uncorrupted tribes, make their home at the base of Mount Hyjal. Timbermaw Hold is a vast network of tunnels and caverns connecting 3 zones: Fellwood, Moonglade, and Winterspring. Players who befriend the Timbermaw can traverse these tunnels for easy access into the high mountain areas of Kalimdor. There are also a couple of clues that hint that the hold could potentially hold more secrets than are present now, as seen by the closed-off fourth passageway inside the main chamber. Who knows, maybe Timbermaw Hold will play an even larger role in the recently announced Classic Plus, perhaps connecting to the entrance point in Azshara, the secret dead-end road in Darkshore, or maybe Mount Hyjal itself. There are many opportunities for the future of this wonder, but even as it stands now, it's still very unique in terms of design and atmosphere. The ancient Night Elven city of Eldra Thalas is a mystical jewel within the southern wilderland of Feralas. Contrary to many of the highborn ruins scattered across Azeroth, the city is largely intact after the Sundering, sheltered within the foothills of the forest for thousands of years. It is now known as Dire Maul, a perverse remnant of a once great civilization. The remaining highborn elves, led by Prince Tortheldrin, now cling to a fragment of their former power, secluding themselves in the western capital gardens. In this wing, the elves maintain their life force by siphoning the energy of Imul Thar, a shackled demon. Elsewhere, other malignant forces have taken over the abandoned city. In the North Wing, the Gordok Commons are overseen by a powerful ogre clan, a worthy challenge for those seeking to prove their battle prowess. The East is also far from safe, as demonic satyr prowl the Warpwood Quarter, spreading vile magic that corrupts the plant life here. One of the crowning locales in this vast dungeon are the central Broken Commons, featuring a vast amphitheater fitting for an empire of old. With multiple entrances, grandiose architecture, and a lot of Night Elf lore, Dire Maul is a piece of Warcraft history that I think gets overlooked, but it's definitely worth investigating. Perhaps one of the only wonders in this series to come from a world beyond Azeroth, the Exodar is a massive interdimensional ship used by the noble Draenei during their escape from the Burning Legion on Outland. Due to sabotage, it crash-landed here on the Azure Mist Isles west of Kalimdor, shortly before the events of the Burning Crusade. The ship is permanently grounded, but still, surprisingly, in rather good condition. Created by the enigmatic Naru, the inside of the ship is a display of vibrant crystals and energy beams. But all throughout, it still possesses a serene atmosphere. You can check out my video exploring the Exodar in greater detail here, but overall, it's a really unique location that non-Draenei players usually miss out on. Though the wild forests of Ashenvale are mostly remembered for their towering trees and majestic monuments, there is also an eastern coast to this zone that has its own long history. The aptly named Zoram Strand once held the mighty city of Zoram, washed away during the Sundering. The crown jewel of this landmark was the Temple of Lothar Lazal, sunk beneath the waves but not entirely forgotten. Recently, the once pristine moonwells of the elves have been tainted by the powers of the old gods, and now Naga, Satyr, and members of the Twilight's Hammer gather here to fortify this place of evil. Access to the temple, now named Black Fathom Deeps, requires adventurers to enter through a small pool at the base of a shrine, with tunnels and grottos appearing on the other side. This whole area is a dark mix of elven architecture and corrupted roots and creatures, the site of a new empire emerging from an old one. This is one of the most uniquely designed dungeons in all of Classic WoW, but I also had to put it on this list because of its importance to the upcoming Classic Plus Season of Discovery, with the dungeon being converted into a 10-person raid for level 25 players. There are all sorts of sunken secrets to discover here, and who knows what other ones may come to light when Classic Plus drops in just a few short weeks. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, may the Force be with you.